Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So, all ready for Ashtanga Yoga?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mohandas Prabhu. Hare Krishna. All ready for Ashtanga Yoga class or want to really practice Ashtanga Yoga? How many of you all want to practice Ashtanga Yoga?
Yes, Mataji.
Class.
Only
Ready
the
for
class?
the class, Mataji.
Only for the class. Ready for the class. Is there anyone in this group who would like to raise your hand who would like to practice Ashtanga Yoga?
I'm doing not all Mataji. I'm doing some practices. I'm doing a yoga course where they teach us about Raj Yoga.
Okay.
So Ashtanga Yoga is what they have told. Hatha Yoga and then Ashtanga Yoga is
Okay.
what they're teaching us. Yeah.
Okay, you're practicing, but we are going to see exactly what Ashtanga Yoga is. So it can be of great help for you if you can. See, there's nothing in between, right? So when we try, it should be a or Z, right? So we don't have the in-between alphabets. So we'll see whether whatever we are doing today's class, Arun, is perfectly the Ashtanga Yoga, which you have also learned, right? And so anybody else who wants to practice Ashtanga Yoga can type in chat and we will have a chat on that.
In Mataji, they have also teach us what are the 8 limbs. They have taught us already in theory, like what are all the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga.
That's nice, Prabhu.
And now, yeah, I mean, they are actually some part of the practical, especially the asanas part, the third limb.
Sure. Yes, Prabhu. So I'll start the session. Before that, we'll have Mangala Charan. So if you have something to add, it will be of great value today in today's class. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Anyanattimurandasya. Nanachalakaya. Chakshurun militam yena. Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Chaitanya Manobishtam. Stapitam yena bhutale. Swayam Rupa Kadamaya. Tadati Swapadatikam. Hey Krishna Sindhu. Dinabandho Jagatpate, Gopeshu Gopika Kanta, Radha Kanta Namastute, Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi, Radhe Vrindavaneshwari, Vishabhanusute Devi, Pranamani Hari Priye, Vancha Kalpadarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Patitana Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gajadhara, Shri Vatsadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Hare Krishna, all of you join me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So we are jumping to Ashtanga Yoga. So see, this is Ashtanga Yoga, right? And it's also called Dhyana Yoga. And therefore, we are, let's pay our obeisances to Shishirada Govinda before we start our session. And a quick recap on the 5th chapter and why is this Ashtanga Yoga coming up, right? So the 5th chapter, in fact, starts off with Nishkama, right? Arjuna having a doubt on which is better, whether to do Nishkama Karma Yoga or should I renounce work and run away, right? And do not the 3rd chapter where he will run away and be a Brityachar, but here he will run away and really renunciate, which renunciation is Ashtanga, right? Now, between 7 and 12, he says how to perform Nishkama Karma Yoga. And we also saw in the 5th chapter the 3 doers. Is Krishna the doer? Is Maya Devi the doer or the soul the doer? Who are the doers, right? And then liberation by focus on the super soul, right? So Paramatma. So this is the concept of Ashtanga Yogi where he gets liberated and his focus is on the Paramatma feature. And he also briefly introduced very clearly the Ashtanga yoga practice, which was a like a trailer or a teaser for this chapter. And finally, he concludes in 5.29 the peace formula for liberation, right? So what is the peace formula, right? Understand that Krishna is the best well-wisher, and Bhoktaram Yagna. Okay, anybody knows the shloka? 5.29 shloka. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Bhoktaram Yagna. Hello, anybody knows? I'm just giving the intro. Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasa Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Sukridim Sarva Bhutanam Shantim. No one is, I thought somebody will give me a little heads up. Right? So Gachati. So what is he telling? So Bhoktaram Yagna, he is a proprietor, right? We already had in our classes in Isha Upanishad where we understood that he is the supreme proprietor. So if you understand that for all, Sarva Lokam, right? For all the lokas, then, and we are the best friend. He's the only best friend for us. He's the well-wisher, right? That is the peace formula, right? Shantim Gachati. That means we get peace. So very clearly saying. So no, with all this, everybody will have a doubt. Of course, Arjuna didn't ask that doubt, but eventually, at least in our mind, Arjuna is so good. Maybe he can do Ashtanga yoga. Why Arjuna? I can also do Ashtanga yoga, right? And there will be some like Arun who will say that, yes, I'm doing a little bit of Ashtanga yoga. Or somebody in other groups say that I want to really follow Ashtanga yoga. So, Krishna is saying, okay, so I have told you the easier one, which is Neshkama, but there are some of them who would say that I want the harder side of it. And how do you say that, Krishna? Why do you decide? So he says, no, I'm not going to decide. I'm just going to tell you how to do Ashtanga yoga as well. And that brings us to this chapter called the Dhyana yoga or Ashtanga yoga. So between 6.1 to 4, he's talking about advancing in yoga through detached work. Right? So he's talking about how you will work, right? And also you will advance. Why is this there? You noticed in Bhakti yoga, you don't give up work ever. Right? In Ashtanga yoga, the difference is you do give up work at a later stage, but at the initial stage, you don't give up. You are genuinely working as well as, that's why they say detached work, right? And in section 2, between 6 and 9, it's called the yogarudha stage. That's the advanced stage where you will be giving up completely all the work. And why do you give up work? We will see. And 6.10 to 6.30, further stages in the yoga in the practice of yoga. He's talking what is a principle and the entire process of yoga, like how should you follow. The first 2 talks, it gives an intro, and 10 to 32 talks about the actual process. So the process note is very long, right? So usually, so is this one. And so these 2 sections, short we'll cover. We'll try and see if we can cover till 36, section 4 as well. And 33 to 36, necessity of controlling the turbulent mind. What is the requirement to control the turbulent mind? And 37 to 45, the destination of an unsuccessful POV. Always there should be a plan A and plan B, right? So in our material world, what is that plan? If you pass, okay, you go to the next class. If you fail, you're in the same class, right? So you're in the same section. So are we going to stick to section 5 or move to section 6, or what is Krishna talking? We will see that tomorrow. And who's the topmost yogi? He is clarifying in 46 and 47. So he's concluding that part very clearly. So very starting of this 6.1 and 4, advancing in yoga through detached work, right? Ashtanga yogis, like the Nishkama karma yogis, right? Like them, they get themselves detached in the work. So Ashtanga yoga is a process where you have to be pre-purified, which means that according to them, they're getting detached. So you'll ask, then Mataji, what is the difference, right? The difference is that this is the starting stage. This is like your model exam. Right? So you are doing your models to enter your exam. But whereas in devotion service, that's a direct thing, right? Your process itself is like your open book. So you open book and do your exam. So you don't need to really prepare. But Ashtanga yoga, the process may look similar initially, but this process is for purifying, because suddenly in the 3rd chapter we saw, right? Suddenly if someone runs away and starts doing yoga, then, he becomes a pretender, then what is the difference, right? In Ashtanga yoga, he also runs away and does, then he'll also become a pretender, right? So there are steps here where they say that you don't do that running away business until you are sure. So we saw this very beautiful thing, right? Somebody, detachment comes to one who realizes he is not autonomous in his action, right? That Krishna, we are dependent. So it starts off with the jiva, which is desiring, and how, the flower, the perfume or the fragrance of a flower, if the flower is by your side, you can smell it, right? Like that, the jiva's desire, Krishna can smell that desire, and therefore, based on your karma credits, he approves and he sanctions. He says, okay, go ahead, this is for you. And after that, he instructs Maya Devi to, since it's already pre-approved by Krishna, Maya Devi is giving a suitable body, right, for him to fulfill the desire, and the body therefore gives automatically a raise to one of these gunas, which are what are the gunas? Hare Krishna, are you all muted? No way.
Sattvic.
Sattvic, Rajas, Tamas.
Yes. So thank you so much, Mataji. Thanks, Prabhu. So one of these guna, you'll land up with one of these qualities, right? So with this particular quality, you come into this material world, but this doesn't mean these are, your permanent quality. In your previous birth, you probably would have not had that quality which you're having here. It's your desire which has brought in this, right? So therefore, you will go back and change this quality, and that's what we are doing. How do we change? We only chant Hare Krishna Ma Mantra to jump out of this and go into a better position. So finally, who is the doer? What did we conclude? Who is the doer? Is Krishna the doer?
The soul. Jiva.
So we are constantly desiring. So soul is doing all this, right? So therefore, thank you so much. So we are clear on this chapter 5. I'm so proud. So we'll move on next to our Ashtanga Yoga. So I am so glad that none of you all want to practice Ashtanga Yoga, but irrespective of that, Krishna has spoken. And every verse in Bhagavad Gita is so important. Like I say, the first words, sometimes, some devotees say, Mataji, should we start with the first verse? And I've also felt sometime in the beginning, because it says Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Why do we have to start? But Krishna is so, is like the prophylactic, which means like sun. If even if there is a viral or something or very abominable place, they will tell, open the window, let the sunlight come in, because sun does not get, the impurities. Instead, it purifies, right? So same way, Krishna's presence purifies. So the Bhagavad Gita is the words of Krishna. It's a song of Krishna. So even if it starts with Dhritarashtra, or even if it has Ashtanga Yoga practice, which we may not be keen in, these are the words of Krishna. So therefore, we will pay attention. And even though Dhritarashtra has spoken and Sanjaya concludes, it doesn't matter. It's all Krishna's. So whatever purification has to be done to the verses, it's already taken. So every word, every stanza is very pure. Hare Krishna. So one who purifies his vision and activity by Nishkama Karma Yoga can make further advancement by practicing of meditation on super soul. So that's what he told, right? This is the meditation. So can I have someone read this by meditating? Please go ahead and read. Hare Krishna. Second box.
By meditating on the super soul, one can develop devotion to him in Bhakti Yoga. Understanding the Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, ultimate controller, and best friend.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shyam Prabhu. Shyam Prabhu, you were missing when I started the class. So I wanted to ask this question. Are you keen in practicing Ashtanga Yoga, Prabhu? I think you said yes, right?
Yes, Mataji. Actually, I regularly do the yoga, and my spiritual guru is Sri Ravi Shankarji, Art of Living. I used to go there and learn the process of this meditation and all things.
So you and Arun, of course, is not following Ashtanga Yoga. I mean, is practicing yoga. So let's see
we are not following exactly the Ashtanga Yoga, but we do the yogasanas and pranayama and the Dhyana. We have that kriya is there, that is Sudarshan kriya. We will do the kriya, that is the Dhyana.
Agreed, Prabhu. So what we are going to see is what has Krishna told, right? So why am I highlighting this so much, and why am I taking your help in this is even bhakti, right? So if you go in the road and ask, are you a devotee? Every Tom, Dick and Harry will say, yes, I'm a devotee. Of course, current trend is different. Everybody says that I'm an atheist because it's like some there is a psychology that if you're learned and if you're intelligent and if you're in the current generation, calling yourself an atheist is like having a crown on your head. That apart. But on a very serious note, if you ask someone who's a devotee, they'll say, yes, you're a devotee. What do? I went and gave 4 coconuts to God and asked and gave a huge shopping list, right? And also, I've not given the coconut. I've only told that the coconuts are subject to the fact that, you fulfill my shopping list. As if, not only gods, even devatas, are they short of coconuts? No, but, we concoct. Why are we saying this? Is a lot of things. I'm not saying is what somebody is doing is a wrong belief. It's just that the practice which they are following is not mentioned in Shastras, right? They concoct. So likewise, we will jump into Ashtanga Yoga to see once understand for people like us who don't know anything about Ashtanga Yoga, and also for a lot of people who believe that they are following. Let's see if this is close to what Krishna has told about Ashtanga Yoga. So that's the purpose. So let's see if the mission is accomplished. Hare Krishna. So as you read, thank you so much, Prabhu, for nice reading. So what do they do? What is the purpose of Ashtanga Yoga? There is something called the object and there's something called the objective. The object can be Krishna, which is the case even in sometimes in Jnana Yoga and specifically in Ashtanga Yoga, because they meditate on Krishna. But is the objective also Krishna? No. No, because the starting, they need a form to meditate on. So they will even meditate on the Virat Rupa, Paramatma. So mostly they meditate on the Paramatma feature, the 4-handed form. Why do they meditate on the Paramatma form? Is it to go and reach the Paramatma or the Supreme Krishna? No. It is because you need something to meditate on. So they use that as the object. And the objective is not to reach Krishna, but to reach the Brahma Jyoti, right? So Ashtanga Yogis also focus on Siddhis, Siddhic powers. Siddhic powers means they can have a lot of powers wherein they can sit in one place, right? And, that's called Mahima, Lagima, all this, where you can become bigger than anything, smaller than anything. And they can literally stretch their hand and pick up an apple from Kashmir right now sitting in the place. So these are the things. But these are again very material, right? So sometimes, they get so elevated that they can actually travel to a lot of places also. Going to the palace of the god is going to the palace is different from going to the kingdom is different from going to the palace, right? So you can come to Chennai, but that doesn't mean that you have entered the Partha Sarthi temple, which is a very big temple in Chennai, right? So it's very different. So likewise, going to the kingdom, yes, you may enter the spiritual sky, but you may not have the access to enter Goloka Vrindavan. It's not you may not, you cannot, because Goloka Vrindavan is a special access with an access key only with the devotees, right? So that is the difference. So here, what do they do is what we have seen. So now let's go ahead on. So what's the connection between 5 to 6, right? So it's always the knowledge. With knowledge increases that I am not the body, I am the soul, and therefore they get into the concept of detached working. Jnana Yogi, for example, these are called Brahmavadis, who are the 4 Kumaras. All of them who focus on a particular, they do not focus on, Brahmavadis also do not focus on the form of Krishna. They were believing, so is Sukadev Goswami. And he believed that the 4 Kumaras believed that they are the sons of Brahma, and they believed that Krishna's energy is the greatest. But later what happened is when they were smelling the fragrance of the flower in the neck of Krishna, they got so engrossed that they entered the Vaikuntha and they wanted to see how Vishnu looks. And, in that process, right? Little story we'll do first. So in that process, what happens is they went and saw, whom did they see? They wanted to see Vishnu. So they ran and they entered through the Vishnu gate, and there were 2 people who stopped, 2 watchmen of Vishnu. Who are they? Anybody can tell who are the 2 gatekeepers of Vishnu?
Jai Vijaya.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So Jaya Vijaya stopped. Now, generally, even in our house, if a small child enters somebody's room, let's say 2-year child, 3-year child, what happens? We don't stop, right? We don't tell, hey, don't go, right? You don't do that. So here, and the 2 for Vishnu, there's a speciality. Anybody can come and see. If you go back and see, Rama was warned that Vibhishan, Ravan's brother, is somebody whom you should not allow to, join your hands, because he is in the opposite side. Maybe he might be a spy. But Rama says, I can't help. Anyone who comes to me, even if he is an enemy and even if his intention is to backstab me, I will have to welcome him, right? I can't say no to anyone who comes. So likewise here, this is the same concept. So Vishnu technically, cannot stop a devotee. And therefore, I mean, that's the intent, which even Jaya Vijaya knows. So these two kids walk there and want to look, and they are Brahma's children who look like 5-year-old. They are stuck at the age of 5, but they are very exalted devotees. And why do they get stuck at the age of 5? Because they do not want, in their wildest dream, they are not interested to grow, because they feel if they grow they will get into a lot of material desires, and therefore they don't want. So they want to freeze that age over there. And they want to see, and when they were stopped, they get so angry, and they curse. They tell, they give him a curse that you will go to the jail. Where is the jail? Come on, all of you, where is the jail?
Earth.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Bulok. Remember one thing, any punishment, any kind of punishment, they will send to Bulok. So you can imagine what is this, right? Like a prison house. So they immediately say, you will go, you're penalized, you are fit, you're misfit to be, Dwarapalaka, because you're not doing the right job, and therefore you don't have the right to stay here. And they curse him. Immediately after the curse, they remember, how can I do this, right? Because they are Vishnu's Dwarapalaka. I do not have the right to curse. They are so good, and whatever said and done, they are also devotees of Vishnu, right? Otherwise, Vishnu is not going to keep them as Dwarapalaka. And they get scared, and they look for Vishnu, and they see Vishnu, and Vishnu comes out, and they are so scared. It's like your neighbor's child. You do not have the right to punish, right, or scold. You can go and complain to the neighbor. So the least they could do is go and complain to Vishnu, but they do not have the right at any point in time to go and punish or penalize. So they get so scared, and Vishnu comes, and on the contrary, he's so sweet. He says, I ask for forgiveness. He takes the ownership. He says, I am asking for forgiveness from you. I am so sorry, and I will not, I shouldn't have done this. I should have at any point in time not, prohibited, and I apologize on behalf of the Dwarapalakas. This is called taking ownership, right? And most of the time we lack this. So if our children make a mistake, what this child means, they'll do that only, no? Can't you understand so much also? Hare, why are you making so much issue here? Isn't this our style? So that is what is the difference. Vishnu goes down and bows and apologizes to this 5-year-old 4 kids. Now this is on one side, and on the other side, these Jaya Vijaya are so scared. They say, please reverse the curse, because we can't think of staying away from you. That's just impossible. And therefore, obviously a curse or anything given, they can't reverse, right? So therefore they are given an offer, and Vishnu says, I can't fix anything. So you can probably choose one. Either you go down and be a devotee for 7 janma, right? Or you take only 3 lives, and you involve in my pastime as an enemy on the opposite side and quickly come back. So they choose the second option of quickly coming back in 3 janmas. And does anyone know what are they in the 3 janmas?
Were there the trees of Krishna's in the 2 trees? No,
Sorry?
I don't know. The trees in Krishna's yard.
No.
I think
That is
One
no,
is
that's not the tree. That is
Rishikesha.
Kubera's son.
Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksh, and one more
Hiranyakashipu.
third.
Perfect, Mataji. Thank you so much. So Satya,
Ravan.
Yes.
Kashpu and Hiranya?
Hiran-
Hiranyakasha. Yeah, so he's a brother, right? So basically Vishnu, he is so adamant, and he fights with Vishnu, and therefore Vishnu immediately kills him. And therefore Hiranyakashipu, that's the source of reason why Hiranyakashipu is so angry and wants to take on Vishnu, right? So that story we know, Narsimha Avatar. That is story 1. What's the story 2?
Ravan and Kumbhakarna, Mataji.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Ravan and Kumbhakarna, in which yuga?
Treta Yuga.
Treta Yuga. Treta Yuga, Ravan and Kumbhakarna, and he takes the form of Rama to finish them up, right? And which is the next one?
Kansha.
No.
Okay.
Expecting that. Krishna comes up.
Shishupala and Dandavat.
Dandavat and Shishupal, they are the two brothers, and therefore that is what he comes again, and we saw what happened, right? Krishna finishes, and now everybody keeps asking this question, that why Shishupal merges into Krishna? Why not? We know only half the story. Why did Ravana get liberated? Why did Hiranyakashipu? Many of them, even in yesterday evening class, they said, if someone asks for benediction, and if there is a devotee, the rest of the family members get benedicted. And one devotee asked me, why? How could that be? They did not do anything, and how can they get credits? Krishna does not give free credit to anyone. Yes, he does tolerate for the sake of devotees others, but the fact is there is a link. So the person whom he gives benediction on, Prahlad requesting, Prahlad asks him that if it is possible, my father, can you also liberate him? He does. Why? Also there is Prahlad is a devotee, but also Hiranyakashipu was a devotee, and therefore he gets him. And same with Shishupal, he at the first time, Ekatvam, right? One kind of liberation, where he merges with Krishna into his body, but later he becomes Jaya Vijay, and they are back to the work, right? Because Krishna is very forgiving for all those in the spiritual sky, even if they are fallen, he corrects, purifies them, and takes them back. That is the speciality of Krishna. And they are all involved in the pastime of Krishna, and they are taking the roles of enemies and seeing eye to eye fighting. And these are all for the chivalry relationship. See, Krishna, we have 5 relationships with Krishna. What are the 5?
Friend, servant, parents, and Vatsalya.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Preeti Mataji, and thank you, Sunita Mataji. Hare Krishna. So you have 5 relationships. These are called the primary rasas, and you also have the secondary rasas, which are 7. Something like which we are going to do in Nectar of Devotion in your next thing. But of that, chivalry becomes 1, and therefore he is seeing ghastliness, chivalry, fear. All this will come under the secondary. He wants to enjoy and relish that. Right, so chivalry he sees with Bhishma, so that's the relationship. Here, ghastliness, he goes, attacks them. So he wants to see all rasas. So this is the story, and this will answer why all these people eventually got benediction also. Right now, so with all that, now let's go back to the main story of Dhyana. So Kumaras, right? So why am I saying this? Is because Kumaras, with the smell, they move and they get elevated from Brahmavadis to a very special devotee, right? So that's one thing. And also the consciousness therefore increases, and therefore the super soul, besides being the object of worship, also becomes objective of worship. But here, currently, super soul is the first level of focus for them to concentrate on. The attendance Mohandas Prabhu is marked, so whenever you have time, you can click. Hare Krishna. Before practicing advanced stages of Ashtanga Yoga, one must get purified by practicing the Neshkama Karma Yoga. Therefore, Krishna glorifies this yoga in the first 2 verses. So we are having a session of this, and whoever wants to read after I chant, please, you can raise your hand and you all can take your turns. Hare Krishna. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Anashrita Karma Palam Karyam Karma Karoti Yah Sasanyasi Cha Yogi Cha Naniragni Na Chakriyah. Hare Krishna. Who would like to read? Yes, Shamprabhu. Go ahead. Yeah, yes, Arun, both of you can take turns. Text is not there. I'm wondering what happened. Hare Krishna.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is attached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life. And he is the true mystic, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. So he very clearly says, who has no fire means he's not doing any job and he's not doing any duty. He's sitting down. He is not a renunciate, but somebody who's unattached. This is what Krishna clearly has been explaining to us from chapter 3, right? Until 5. And 5, he made it very clear. In 3 also he made it clear. Ekam vada. Tell me one thing, Krishna. He says this. Again in 5 he says, hey, Nesh Kama Karma Yoga. Even if you can't do, try Sakama Karma Yoga and elevate yourself, but don't run back. This picture, can anyone guess? It's a tough guess, but can you guess who is this? sannyasi out here? Hare Krishna, can anyone guess? Okay, so this it's in Canto 4, and this sannyas is none but Rishabhadev. Who's Rishabhadev? Rishabhadev is none but incarnation of Krishna. But why did he come? He came because he wanted to teach Ashtanga Yoga. So Krishna in each incarnation teaches something. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he teaches actually devotional service, what a devotee should do in the form of sannyasi. Here he teaches this Ashtanga Yoga. So what does he, he sets an example for yogi. He's not an ordinary person. He is an incarnation of Krishna. And on top of that, he was a king. He had 100 children, right? Of the 100 children, 9 of them became Paramahamsa. Paramahamsa means, you all know, that they are very exalted beyond the sannyasis, where even mentally they will not think for a moment also, and they always maintain that hostility. Even a wrong thought does not come. So they are called the Paramahamsa, right? Why do they call that? Because Hamsa is a swan which can remove the water and the milk and drink only the milk. Some types of swan. So I wish we have such swans in our house where, where our milk is now with all water, right? I'll be very happy if a swan can pull out only milk and give us. Unfortunately, I don't know whether it exists right now here. And even then, if it will drink the milk, it may not give us. So now back to this. So that happened. And the balance 81 of his sons became sannyasis. That left 10. And can anyone guess who is the first son? All 10 ruled the world, and the first one was ruling the world, obviously. So can anyone guess who is the son? What is the name of the son? I'll give you one more clue. Currently, India is named after him.
Bharata.
Yes, thank you so much, King Bharata. King Bharata's father is only Rishabha, and it is not. Yes, thank you, Indu Mataji, Hare Krishna, Bharat Maharaj. And he is the son of Rishabhadev, and Bharata did not actually talk about India or Hindustan. Hindustan was only India, but then that time Bharat was the entire world because he was ruling the entire world, right? So that is the speciality. So this is the story. Today, I think so many stories we are here to enter Ashtanga Yoga. And yes, Prabhu, one of you all can read 6.2, please. Hare Krishna.
What is called renunciation? You should know to be the same as yoga, or linking oneself with the Supreme. O son Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification.
Hare Krishna. So he's very clearly telling what is called renunciation, right? It's the same as yoga. Is it like linking oneself with the Supreme? Oh, son of Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. So very clearly, who is a yogi? Not somebody who can go there. We saw a picture, right, in our 18 days where you have a yogi having a cigarette and the pot, right? He is not a yogi. A yogi is someone who is genuinely detached, and he, to the work, he can be a grahastha also, right? And that's what Bhakti Yoga is allowed. Bhakti Yoga is the only yoga which is allowed for children, for women, for grahastha ashramam, everywhere. But anything else, include the Ashtanga Yoga, everyone to ask for brahmacharya. That's the first qualification. So to become attached to Krishna and work for him automatically will control senses. That's a speciality of bhakti. Both are renunciation. Whereas in Ashtanga Yoga, you give up everything. So Arun Prabhu and Cham Prabhuji, are you willing to give up everyone? Your house, your family, your job, your money, your
No.
Are Prabhu, you just told you want Ashtanga Yoga and you're telling me.
No, Mataji, I cannot leave my family and my responsibilities.
See, Prabhu, that is what I'm telling you. So Ashtanga Yogi, irrespective of the age, now that is the difference. So let's now move on to 6.3. Hare Krishna. Arurukshor Muner Yogam Karma Karanam Uchyate Yoga Rudasya Tasvaiva Samakarnam Uchyate. Hare Krishna.
For one who is neophyte in the eightfold yoga system, work is said to be the means. And for one who is already elevated in yoga, cessation of all material activities is said to be the means.
Hare Krishna. So basically, this is for two category of people. For those who are just the beginning, they have to work like LKG. You have to finish LKG and all that and go, right? But for someone who's already finished 12th can directly go and write the entrance exam, right? So like that. So what do? They give up all whatever they've studied, the books and all, and they go for the college. And they start off, probably you'll have some amount of the old, what you've learned, but you don't technically hold all the books, right? Like that, you leave all the material activity and that becomes a mean. So it depends on what level you are. So that is what they are talking. So it is that's a concept which they have told. So the process of linking oneself with the Supreme is called yoga. Yoga comes from the word yuj, right? Yuj means talking, connecting oneself. We have today a lot of things called yoga. They're very nice. But we relate yoga to a lot of physical or breathing exercise, like how Arun Prabhu was mentioning, right? Pranayama. Is that what Krishna says? No, yoga by itself, irrespective of whatever yoga, it means connecting one to the
God.
Yeah, to Lord. Thank you so much. So in the ladder, therefore, all these yogas aim at self-realization. So the object alone should not be Krishna. The objective also should be Krishna, and that's the success of yoga, right? So therefore, the lowest among them is the karma. Karma Khanda is not even lowest, it's outside the book. So Karma Yoga will start and then we take it forward. So this is what it is. So Karma Khanda is almost animalistic. In fact, below that is Karma Boha, where you only think of yourself, very similar words. And so at that stage, your yoga doesn't, it's below the yoga ladder, and you aim and performing all these rituals and try and elevate into a next level. Mostly the intention is to get you some kind of benefits, right? You want to, and that's also called Sakama Karma Yoga. You do every activity. You may give money also to God, but with an idea that you will get more money. So there is a exchange. And the first step is itself is Karma Yoga, which means Neshkama Karma Yoga. That is what he is telling, and that's the beginning. And Jnana Yoga is completely renouncing the fruits, but they speculate. They keep searching, where is the root, right? And they keep searching for it. They use a lot of their intelligence. And so in karma, they use the body. In jnana, they use the mind. In Ashtanga, right? In jnana, they start using the intelligence, not mind. They start analyzing, right? So they use the intelligence. Ashtanga, they use the mind, concentration. Just keep the mind focused. And they renounce fruit. They have a lot of knowledge. They control the mind and sense is by the eightfold path, which we are going to see. Plus meditation on the super soul, which is the Paramatma within the heart. That's the aim. And in Bhakti, the loving devotional service, only Krishna, right? That's the fundamental thing. In all the other things, they believe in their own endeavor, right? Their focus is mostly, and that's why it is difficult. In Bhakti Yoga, they just stretch their hand and tell, hey, Krishna, hold my hand. So that becomes easier, because we trying to do a climbing step is so difficult. Because you have a rope, it becomes that much easier. And just imagine if the rope is being pulled by someone, right? That becomes even more easier. So that is Bhakti Yoga. So with that, we finish the section 1. And we are going to yogarudha stage, right? Which is the advanced level. So what is the first stage we saw? Second stage is advanced, where we are going to give up the work. So what is the first stage we saw? What is the name of the first stage? Can anyone tell?
In Ashtanga Yoga?
No, Prabhu. The 2 stages we said. The advanced stage is called yogarudha stage. So what is the stage, the beginning stage called?
Karma Khanda?
No, Prabhu, not Karma Khanda at all. It's totally, I'm talking about the 2 stages. I gave an introduction. Do you remember? Second stage, the advanced stage where you give up work is called yogarudha. I'm just waiting to take that slide to show you all, but I'm not able to spot. So what is the name of the yoga? So I'm going to go. Yeah. So which one is that called? The neophyte stage. First one, Yoga Rukshu. So we'll go ahead and we will see that more. So there are 2 stages. Now we are going into the Yoga Rudha stage. So this is the one, Yoga Rudasya. So what are we doing, right? In the stage, a yogi may give up the Nishkama Karma Yoga when his mind control reaches the stage of regarding well-wishers, envy, pious, and sinners equally. Can you think of an enemy and a friend equally? Can anyone do it? I may just ignore an enemy, but I can't treat the person as a friend. For me, friend is definitely more special. Yes or no?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Only more elevated can see the equally.
Right? Pious and sinners equally. We may ignore the sinners, right? That's a max we can do. But can we see, someone like that equally? Very difficult. So they will treat both Prabhupada and Jagai Vijay same. So that's the difference, right? You see Nityananda, he saw Jagai Magai sinner equally. You saw Haridas Thakur, and he saw a prostitute equally. Can you believe he made the prostitute sit with him and chant for 24 hours? What will we do, right? In a train, we see somebody who is looking, and Prabhupada sat with the hippies group. If you see a hippie in the next bohi, what will we do? We will change our place, right? We will silently move away from the place. Not just the women, even the men will move, right? So that's the situation. So this is what it is. So yogarudha stage is where you give up, right? That is the stage we are talking about, which is the advanced stage. So the first stage is called the yogarurukshu. Yogarurukshu stage is that he must work. Why? Because he is not pure. Otherwise, he'll become a mrityachara. He will slowly start getting detachment. And when he gets detached, he practices part-time Ashtanga and then Pranayama while engaging in Karma Yoga. So he focuses and he does not get. So this is very important. This will be in one of your questions. So yogarurukshu is very clearly that it's the initial neophyte stage. And if you're advanced and you're clear, then you go. You in Bhakti Yoga, you do everything at the same time. For example, if you're good in cooking, you can cook. You're good in, you do the japa, you do Mangalarti, you do everything. You can start off with everything at one time. Whereas in Ashtanga Yoga, you don't practice everything at the same time. You do one at a time and elevate. So he'll practice full time. Nishkama Karma Yogi can be given up completely and he has full knowledge. And he renounces all material desires and he is no more interested in fruital activity. 6.5 Hare Krishna. Udared atmanatmanam natmanam avashadaye atmaiva atmano bandhu atmaiva ripur atmanah. Hare Krishna.
One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well.
Yeah, so very nice. So now you all tell me whether the mind is a friend or an enemy.
If it is
your mind, specific.
His mind is enemy.
Okay, Prabhu. So clear.
If it is not controlled properly.
So only one question, no paragraph answers. For you, is your mind a friend or enemy? That's all.
Enemy.
Okay. Thanks, Prabhu. Yes, Mohandas, Prabhu, you're talking, I can't hear. Anybody else? Prabhu, I think only for you, mind is an enemy. For all of them in the class, entire class, I think mind
is an enemy. Till now enemy.
Till now enemy, yeah? Okay, thank you, Basu. Hare Krishna. Anybody else?
For me, friend.
Enemy.
Enemy, the Preeti. Okay, thank you, Preeti. Somebody said who's a friend. Who's that?
Yes, Shubham here.
Shubham, okay, thank you, Shubham. Prabhu, for you it's a friend. So we have only one person who treats a friend. For others?
All enemy only, Mataji.
Acha, for you also enemy. Okay, Prabhu. So let's do this, right? One must deliver himself with the help of the mind and not degrade, right? So here very clearly he says, for a conditioned soul. So I am very conditional. So currently my mind is an enemy. So it's on both sides. We will see how, imagine if the mind is our enemy and we are constantly 24/7, 365 days. And as long as we live, we are going to live with this person inside us. We cannot see an enemy, right? So we just spoke that we are not elevated souls and we are having, this particular enemy sitting inside us 24/7. You can't tolerate your enemy sitting next to you. You can't tolerate your enemy knocking your door, but you just imagine what will be our situation if we have to have our enemy sitting and living inside us? Isn't that a nightmare if you think of it is a true sense? And Neetu, you have said mostly enemy. We have some messages here in the box. Indu, Indu, thanks for messaging. I didn't notice Bharat. Okay. You had already messaged, so sweet. Okay. And if you control your senses, it's your friend. Okay, Sandhya, but we can't control. No, that's the issue. So current situation, Sai, Abhishek is enemy, it's fine. Kiran, okay, Manjari, Mataji, enemy, perfect. And Kiran says, so Kiran Prabhu, for all those who say both, not many, only you have said both. Prabhu, it's very unlikely to have a friend and an enemy at the same time, right? Do you have a best friend in the morning? Do you say that the best friend after breakfast becomes my worst enemy? You may have a fight, but not an enmity. And then after lunch again becomes my best friend. And after dinner becomes, do you have such situations where the same person is friend, enemy, friend, enemy, friend, enemy?
No, I don't have such a situation.
Yeah, so maybe your worst friend, your worst enemy can become a best friend. That happens, right? So I did my BA project. This was the hallmark, right? And obviously, I was doing it with DSQ then. And there, I was working with the CEO. But if you work with the CEO, biggest advantage, your name is good, but then your situation is bad because you depend on the secretary. Right. And I had this secretary who was the grumpiest person I have seen in my entire life. The moment I saw her and, and she spoke to me, rather, she didn't even speak. She didn't even smile. She just looked at me blank. She was probably looking at me as if I was one of the furnitures. Even with the furniture, you'll have some kind of politeness. And then, I thought for a moment, oh my God, I am doomed because your project work counts. You don't clear your project, you won't get through. And I can't even go and tell the CEO that your secretary is not cooperating because you're just a student, right? He wouldn't care. So that time, and this is a classic example how I understood, I came home and I was telling my mom, I'm doomed. I just got the worst person in my entire life of all my years. Imagine this girl has come. She just doesn't even smile. Forget about the fact that she can talk. And I can't even get the work done. So I don't even think, it's a good idea. But I have this habit. You don't have too much choice, right? Those days now people will discontinue. Done all that though. So, I was like, oh my God. And this, oh my God was going on. I was thinking, oh Krishna, I am doomed. Oh, I just can't, call all the gods. And then she didn't change, of course. If you're thinking she's changed, no, she's still. So this is one concept, right? You don't change the Adi Bhautika. Even now she will not change. She will be like that. But if you understand, right, things change. And I saw her as an enemy. She just saw me as one of the furnitures, right? So as I said, and later I understood that she had a tragedy, right? She had a sister who is a lawyer, who was a lawyer, and she was burnt, right? And, so for her, so when she saw me, I don't know what she felt. So she had no thing, but then even now, anything you talk about education, she doesn't get angry with education. She has a very strong predomination where she thinks educated does not mean intelligent. You can be an educated idiot. That's her version, because she has seen that in spite of being a lawyer, she never informed anyone and she was burnt to death. So that had created that kind of a feeling that she rarely smiles. Now also, I think very rarely. But later I understood she was the sweetest person. She's my best friend, right? Today. She's the best friend. And I really like her so much. And I just call her. And even if I don't tell my problem, she'll be there. So, and that kind. And she was one person, not today. Even then, she came on a Sunday. She opened the office. She said, you're late for the project. I'm there for you. Sit. She didn't tell in so many words. She'll say, I'll be there. You do. That's how she will communicate. But later I understood the heart was pure. So the enemy can become a best friend, which is very unlikely. But here it's not an enemy. I thought it's an enemy. But the fact is, she was always a good person, right? So there is no chance that one day she's an enemy, one day she's a friend, one day she's an enemy, one day it doesn't happen like that. So the person is always an enemy or always a friend. Maybe one time they transform. Your best friend could have become a worse enemy, but they don't keep taking shifts. So currently, same way, if your mind becomes a best friend, then it sticks there. And if it's enemy, it sticks there. So currently, we all are neophytes and therefore it's enemy, because we have one small thing, the mind can trick us anyway. So Bhagavad Gita 6.6 is the most important shloka. Very nice. Hare Krishna. Bandhur atmaatmanas tasya atmaivatmana jitah anatmanas usa trushtve varte tatmaiva shrutruvat. Shatruvat. Shatru means enemy. Hare Krishna.
For one, sorry.
For one who has
for one who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, the mind will remain the greatest enemy.
6.6. So Bandhur means friend, right? And there are so many types, right? We are going to see we saw in 5.29. Sukridam, there it's a well-wisher, best friend. Krishna is your own best friend. Here, Bandhur, it's more like an acquaintance, right? So like how I told, I meant she's an acquaintance. So you can't really tell whether she's a friend or an enemy, right? So, but if you really have good contour, I just gave this for you to understand. So become a best friend, right? So it depends on how you condition your mind, and mind is under the control of Maya Devi. So if you think you can control the mind, it's going to be difficult. So this is an important shloka. Why? Because I wanted to bring out the difference. So we have 3 types of friendship, which Prabhupada also explains. Sukridam, which is a well-wisher, which is a best friend, and Bandhu, who is more like an acquaintance, and Mitra, right, whom we call friends, right? So these are the things which they are talking about. So this shloka tells somebody who can treat everyone equally. Sukritin mitrari udasina madhyastha dvesha bandhushu Shadushvapi cha papeshu samabuddhir vishishyate. Hare Krishna.
For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul is already reached. For he has attained tranquility. To such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor are all the same.
So very clear, for him he doesn't care. Because Madhyastha means somebody who's intermediate, Dvesha means hatred. For him, it doesn't bother. Everybody is the same. He doesn't see any difference at all. Honor, dishonor, because he's so elevated, right? And that's his speciality. And probably you can read 6.8 from this picture.
A person is said to be established in self-realization and is called a yogi or mystic when he is fully satisfied by virtue of acquired knowledge and realization. Such a person is situated in transcendence and is self-controlled. He sees everything, whether it be pebble, stone, or gold, as the same.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for reading. And somebody else also wanted to read. So from the next shloka, you can go ahead, Prabhu. And Mataji also, if you all want to read, please go ahead. So it's not that he doesn't know the difference between a stone and a pebble, but he doesn't care. For him, his usage with a stone or a pebble is the same, right? So that's what he brings out. And 6.9, Prabhu, you finish this. From the next new Prabhu will read. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Mataji. A person is considered still further advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, affectionate benefactors, the neutral mediators, the envious friends and enemies, the pious and the sinners, all with an equal mind.
So very clearly, the person is considered still advanced when he regards honest well-wishers, all of them. Same. Don't even think. So difficult, right? We won't be able to think of this. This is the one Sukridam we just saw. How can we see well-wishers, right? Neutral, I just explained this shloka, right? I read Dvesha, right? Enemy, friends, everyone same. Friends we saw, right? It's just not possible at all, right? It just puts us off. There is no way we can do that. 6 enemies of the mind. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Matsarya, right? So all these are the 6 enemies of mind. And one established in the self-realized does not see a difference between the gold or a stone, though he knows. It's not that he's dumb, but he doesn't care. And with that, what happens? He sees honest well-wishers, affection, beneficiaries, everyone are equal for him. And with this, we are going to enter the 10 to 6.32 further stages in the yoga practice. So quickly, you can see this picture. The first, the first 1, 2, 3, which we are going to see very clearly, up to 6 largely is sadhana bhakti, right? Especially 1, 2, 3. It is not that you can parallelly do this. These are the beginning stage, which is called yoga rurukshu. And when you call yoga rurukshu, it's not that I will do yama and I will practically go to dhyana. No, it doesn't work like that. You become perfect in the 1, 2, 3, then only you proceed, right? So it's like your LKG first standard grade. So it's grade wise. And the next half, right, talks about samadhi is complete meditation. And, how do we get? Is in samadhi, you see the pastimes of Krishna. You can really experience that. And in dhyana, yes, you start seeing, but then you see the Krishna. You don't tend to participate in the pastime. Even in dharana stage, but it comes as a glimpse and goes. So these are the stages which are spoken. And when you come to yoga, you have so many types of yoga, right? Yoga for pregnancy, yoga, even a cat yoga. And yoga in chair, yoga for mental and physical health, and we had one quantitative yoga. Who is in the picture on the left top? Whose picture? Whose picture is on the top? Why all are silent? It's Hiranyakashipu. And the kind of yoga he did, nobody knows. Now, I think Arun and Sham Prabhu especially dedicated for you types of yoga. So you should probably pick which suits. And this is a new version of yoga. And for those who are in sports or martial arts, and probably Neetu can vouch, we don't even, you don't even sip a drop of water, maybe a small sip, but you don't tend to drink, right? Not even water, forget about beer. So these are called mental concoctions, and these are material desires. You try and fix something to attract people, right? So this is what they call as yoga. Where is yoga here? So neither do your body nor mind, right? Thank you, Hare Krishna. Ashtanga yoga. It's called Ashtanga yoga, which is Ashta means 8, Anga means leg, yoga means huge. Coming from that word, huge means connection, right? And Yama, talking about external discipline, and in Niyama is talking about internal discipline, do's and don'ts. Asana talks about the postures, right? And we do not follow Yama and Niyama, just as how Arun Prabhu as well as Sham Prabhu mentioned that Mataji, we don't do everything. We only start from the postures and breathing. No, Krishna is telling the process of Ashtanga yoga is starting from Yama and Niyama. If it is not, then it is not called Ashtanga yoga. And what we are practicing is exercise, right? And so asana is posture, and posture is, you would be seeing me like I have changed so many postures in this past 1 hour. I'm sure you all are likewise, right? So we keep changing, and sitting in one posture erect is not easy. Pranayama is breathing exercise, and also one thing, we will come to pranayama, but broadly it's a breathing exercise and how they control breath. And pratyahara is withdrawal of senses, which becomes very high. This is where we start moving to the next session from dharana, because you withdraw your senses gradually, and dharana you have complete concentration, and dhyana is your mind is fixed on Krishna, right? You are focusing on Krishna, you're in dhyana stage. And samadhi is finally, there is unflinching, it's complete dedication, nothing changes, complete focus. So samadhi, as I said, it's not close your eyes and forget everything. No, he enjoys and relishes the pastimes of Krishna. So that is the level, and this is what we saw, right? So samadhi, where it's complete union, you're integrating, you're living right over there with Krishna. So this is what it is. And Mataji or Prabhu can start reading 6.10. Hare Krishna. From 6.10, they talk about the process. We saw, right? So we're going to read the process. Hare Krishna.
He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind.
So first part, he has to stay in a secluded place. So secluded place, according to us, is in 3-bedroom house. One room becomes secluded. In a 2-bedroom house, one small corner becomes secluded. In a single-bedroom house, your bathroom becomes secluded. No. Secluded means genuinely secluded, which means like Himalaya, miles and miles away. Hare Krishna. 6.17 is Niyama. Yama he read, now we will see Niyama.
Regulated lifestyle, temperate in his habits of eating half food, 1/4 water, 1/4 air, sleeping 6 hours, working and recreation.
So very clearly, what is it? He's giving a complete list of we saw what to do and what not to do. So even the food you eat, they say half stomach you eat, and the balance half should be half of that filled in water and half for air. Only then you will have, space. But we don't do that, right? We eat over so much that, we just want the food itself to come out. Literally, we eat till that, at least when the food is very good. We have to sleep 6 hours. If you sleep 6 hours, then it is considered correct. But do we just eat for 6 hours? We sleep for multiple 6 hours, right? So that's our specialty. So that's one biggest disadvantage. In fact, when we're talking about niyama, there is a nectar of instruction, right? The first instruction is that, Hare Krishna, Vacho vegam udaro prashta vegam, Vacho vegam udaro prashta vegam, jigva vegam, right? So he's talking about various levels of control which you can do, and what you can control your mind is very, very, very clearly and beautifully explained. And he says 6 senses which needs to be controlled, which includes the mind, the tongue, right? Your stomach, your genitals, and all of them, including your intention to speak, all this to be controlled. So that becomes very important. And it goes like this. Vacho vegam, udaro prashta vegam, jigva vegam, udaro prashta vegam, etan vegan vishayesa, viraha sarvam apiman. So what is he telling is Dhiraha means we already saw Dhira. We saw the elevated soul. We also saw he is also called Sitatir Muni. We saw the various things which we were seeing. So all of them are the most elevated people. So these kind of people are those who actually have control over these 6 things, and that you'll read in Nectar of Instruction again in your next chapter, not chapter, in your next level. So that will deal in depth. And right now, let's move depth. Sorry. Right now, we'll move to Asana, which is 6.11 to 14. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Lay kusa grass on the ground and then cover it with deer skin. The seat should neither be too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. One should hold one's body, neck and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me.
So very clearly, so we know very clearly he has to go there. He cannot take, like Vishwamitra failed because he saw Ramba, right? So naturally, he's not supposed to carry his family. He's not supposed to carry his girlfriend also, because that's not called Yogasana, right? So Kusha grass, why do people cover it with deer skin? Can anyone tell why deer skin?
To get rid of insects.
Yes, thank you so much. So it's like a mosquito, it's a repellent, insect repellent. So deer skin is there, all the scorpios and other thing. And these people are going to be meditating for years. And why do they stare at the tip of the nose? Nothing specific, just to have a focus. Because if your eye is completely closed, you may have the tendencies to fall off sleep. And if it is completely open, your eyes will start seeing a lot of sense objects. So you do like this, you barely get to see. At the same time, you don't sleep. And focusing on the middle of the eyebrow or in the nose are not very interesting places to see, right? Even your hand, you'll get very curious. Oh, nice. My lifeline is like this. Somewhere you will start enjoying. But these are areas which are not great to relish, at least for most of us. And you keep your body, neck, head all in a straight line and stare at the tip of the nose, right? So this is what is asana. So Arun and Mohandas Prabhu, are you doing this kind of asana?
No, Mataji. But I have Mataji, I've read about Gautam Buddha as well. I mean, he also used to follow Ashtanga yoga
Yes,
as
he
well.
did.
But he got his enlightenment. Although he has been practicing it for 6 years, he's been studying, practicing. But then on one day when his intensity become very high, he sat down in a tree, and then within a night. I mean, I think his intention was very intense. So he got enlightenment on that day, sitting in a tree.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I think
Buddha is an incarnation of Krishna. You knew that?
No, not really.
Buddha is mentioned 2,600 years ago. Buddha is mentioned in Bhagavatam. He is incarnation of Krishna, just like how we said Rishabha. And Buddha, you're absolutely right about Buddha. But for Buddha to get enlightenment is very easy, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Buddha or Rishabhadev, because they are all incarnation of Krishna, right? So it's so much easier for them. And yes, he came for practicing ahimsa. He wanted to rule out ahimsa. Why? Because there was a lot of animal sacrifices and people were following Vedas in a concocted way. So he brought in something called all Vedas are useless, forget everything. And ahimsa is the most important concept, because he brought in with the concept of stop that, because people were almost like animal-like. Because from animal sacrifices, they literally went, in case of Jadabarda, they wanted to sacrifice him. Jada means mad. So even a mad person, they consider as dumb as an animal. And therefore, they went to the extent of killing human. Even now we have heard, right? There are some places where they have human sacrifices, Bali, you say. So that's the reason. And thank you so much for the heads up, Prabhu, and this brought in this. I think so in between somewhere I interrupted, sorry about it. And yes, so that's about it. So, and next one is Pranayama. Prabhu, continue. 6.29.
Yeah. Practice stopping the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming and the incoming of the breath into the outgoing.
Prabhu, you can read, or is it too small?
And thus at last remain in trance.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So basically, pranayama is like, you play on the breath. Your outgoing and incoming keeps swapping, right? And so that breathing in and out is what you do. And therefore, you completely have this concept of pranayama where you just practiced even now. And now one bumper offer about pranayama is do bhakti yogas. Usually, this pranayama is built in because when you do your japa, it is scientifically proved and research has been done that, when you're doing pranayama automatically, when you're doing your Mahamantra, automatically pranayama is inbuilt because the way you tell Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. As you start practicing, you will tell more number of times that unknowingly, and you hold your breath, right? And we are moving to Pratyahara 6.15. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Pratyahara is cessation of material existence, which is perfect meditation.
Yeah.
Dharana is a discipline. Sorry.
Pratyahara means you stop all your material existence. You stop there. So that is when you're switching. You're going to slowly switch the roles. Yes, Prabhu. 18 and 19. Hare Krishna. Perfect meditation starts. Yes.
Dharana is disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires. He is said to have attained yoga.
So very clear.
Dhyana.
Sorry, Prabhu, after everything, just pause 1 second. So Dharana means his mental activities are, completely slowly moving into trance. We use the word trance, right? And he does not have any material desire anymore. That stage is yoga, and that's the stage. It's called the perfect meditation, and it's going to yogarudha, the advanced stage where he can give up on everything. And now we are moving to Dhyana, which is 6.19. Hare Krishna.
Dhyana is as a lamp in a windless place does not waver. So the transcendentalist, whose mind is controlled, remain always steady in his meditation on the transcendental self.
Hare Krishna. So very clearly, a lamp in a witness place means in vacuum, right? It's very steady. It does not move here this way, that way. It stays state, right? And it's very difficult to find such a witness place. And that's the stage of Dhyana. And this is when I told that they can start seeing glimpse of Krishna also, right? In Dharana also they see, but for Dhyana, they'll be seeing for a longer time. Seeing is different from imagining. You will tell that even we see, we don't see, we imagine. We bring the figure in our head consciously. Here they actually see. And Samadhi is where they can be involved in the pastime. They can really see what pastimes are happening in Goloka Vrindavan. And that's between 20 and 23. It's called realization. That's the stage where you realize yourself. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please go ahead. Thank you.
One is never, in Samadhi, one is never shaken, even in the midst of a greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact.
See self. So basically, completely ceased, and he is even in the worst difficulty. Whatever happens, nothing stops him, and he goes on in a deepest meditation. And coming back to the yoga ladder, right? So we have this yoga ladder, which we are going to discuss from the yoga ladder in depth tomorrow. And tomorrow, we just did the process, right? And tomorrow we will do a little bit of all this, which we will continue the process. And then we will see how we can move on to chapter 4 as well. So we have stopped exactly on the process right now, and we will continue the process and go to the turbulent mind, how the mind is, right? And if you have any doubts, you can type in chat. And Neetu Mataji, I've shared Prabhupada's video. Is it possible for you to share now? And I'll end the session. Hare Krishna. Vacho Vegam. I'm getting the same Vacho Vegam. So instead of even closing. So now anybody else, any doubts, please type in the chat. Anyone?
Can we ask Mataji? Or?
Yeah, please go ahead and ask.
Mataji, I wanted to ask, Krishna also, so Krishna himself is an incarnation, but when he was also young, Krishna, he went to Maharshi Sandipani ashram as well. And then there, I think one of the story is that he also do this yoga where he actually take out his soul, his Maharshi Sandipani and I think Balram and Krishna, they took out their souls from their body and then, they roam somewhere in the and then came back and then bring their soul back into their body. So
Hare Krishna.
they were doing these yogas, I think, bringing out.
Okay. Prabhu, honestly, I don't know that. A couple of things which I know is, yes, you're right. Balram and Krishna were with Sandipani Muni and they accepted a spiritual master. So that shows that you need to have a spiritual master, right? And it's absolutely important to have a spiritual master in the path of bhakti, right? If you do not have a spiritual master, even for him, though he learned everything, he accepted. But the process which he followed, I'm not sure, Prabhu, because I do not know where it is, because it is not mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. And having said that, even for that matter, if you see a person like a Melikant, right, who's gone and lived in the forest, even Pandavas have done that. If you see, Pandavas also were in incognito for a long time. They were in the forest they were in exile for long years, right? 11 years. So they have stayed like that. However, Krishna does not highlight, maybe or may not be. I'm not aware of the process they followed, because those days they were all in Gurukul, taught a lot of things, right? But their end of the day, their object would have, and the objective would be to meet Vishnu. Even Pandavas, they've tried a lot of this, but they were all talking from connecting with God. So they did yoga constantly, they meditated on Krishna, and their idea was also to achieve Krishna. Not with the idea like today we are doing yoga, and I do as well, with the idea of maintaining the body health. We have even a yoga day is not about connecting. Yuj means connection with God. That is not taken there at all. Right, Neetu, in the advanced group, I have shared a couple of videos, so that's a shorter one. If you can just check that.
Mataji, one question.
Yes, Prabhu.
This is Shyam Prasad. Mataji, very in all of this Bhagavad Gita, I think Krishna talked the first word about the yoga in the 5-27 to 28. Okay. Yoga. Yeah, about yoga.
Yes, Prabhu, I didn't hear your last word. 5. Yep. Okay, introduced. Okay.
Okay. And in this verses where Krishna has spoken, nowhere he mentioned the Ashtanga yoga. But in purport only, it is there in the Ashtanga yoga. How this Ashtanga yoga is taught by Krishna, because it is so Bhagavad Gita, so many years back it was, but Ashtanga yoga is not that much old. That what I learned here, I want to clarification, because why you have introduced yoga, Ashtanga yoga into this Bhagavad Gita.
I have not introduced, Prabhu.
Okay, but how this has come into the Bhagavad Gita, that is my doubt.
I understand. So before I answer your doubt, just give me 1 second. Arun, did I answer your question? I just paused because Mohandas Shyam Prabhuji asked his question. Did I answer your question completely, or
yes, Mataji, I'll ask another doubt, but after you answer. Shyam
sure,
Prabhuji.
No problem. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, so coming back to your question, Ashtanga yoga is spoken by Krishna. The term used is Dhyana yoga, but the terms can be used differently. As I said, that's why I keep highlighting some very important terms many times. They say Dhira, Uttamadhigari, Sitadir, Muni. All these I keep telling again and again, because when you use new words, you should not get confused, right? You should not feel, oh my God, there is a new term. No, these are all interchangeably used. So Dhyana yoga, Ashtanga yoga are all the same. So very clearly the chapter heading itself is Dhyana yoga. So it's not introduced by us. It is not introduced by Prabhupada, but Prabhupada has this very beautiful concept. 2 concepts which he follows throughout. First thing is, the Vedic knowledge is not easy, especially for us, because we have not learned from young. We don't know the language. But like how you have this food which we give to the child, which is well bashed and becomes so easy for the baby to swallow, he is doing that. He's literally giving us like a mashed food, so yes, that able to digest. That is one. Second is the mood he has maintained throughout. In fact, there are Mayavatis who question him also. They have told him, you've put Krishna wherever Krishna is not there. He says, yes, but you've removed Krishna wherever Krishna is there, right? So that also could be questioned. So what he says is, I want to maintain the mood. So the end, right? In the 18th chapter, he says that abandon all religions. He will tell that, it will come in the 18th chapter. But the mood he will set initially itself. So the entire Bhagavad Gita actually concludes with the fact that Bhakti Yoga. So it's It cannot be like a movie, right? Movie, we want to have the thriller. We wait, and suddenly, you have a different end. You get excited. Oh wow, this is amazing. I didn't like the twist, but the fact is, it's for enjoyment. But this is for learning. So for learning, you need to be reiterated. So we need constant reiteration continuously all the time. So why am I saying this is that it becomes very important. Whereas so therefore, Prabhupada, the core is Bhakti Yoga. Even though he is teaching Ashtanga Yoga, he brings in Bhakti Yoga. So there's a lot of the concepts which are discussed in the last few chapters or in the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita is brought in between. So this is what it is. Yes, Neetu, you can play that video. Thank you so much. Yes, so this is what it is, Prabhu. That's the speciality of Prabhupada, where he's bringing that concept throughout to give us a feel, which instead of concluding in 1 or 2 sessions. So that's the point. So this is given by Krishna, which is spoken. So I hope I've clarified. Hare Krishna. And, yes, thank you, Arun. 1 second, I'll take your question again. And is there any story pending? Because every time I will tell, but then everybody leaves. So I just thought I'll check with you all. Is there a story pending from my end? Since no answers, so there's no story pending. Yes, Neetu, you can go ahead and play. And before that, yes, Arun Prabhu, you can ask your next doubt and I'll wait for Neetu to play.
Yeah, Mataji, so I really see. I'm not sure if you will gonna tell us tomorrow, but I would just want to ask what actually have Krishna said about the Ashtanga Yoga, whether we should do it or not do it.
No. He is not. He's not telling you should not do. He already started it with the 5th chapter. If you notice, 5th chapter in beginning itself. If you see, Prabhu, I'm going back to the verse, right? I'm not able to share this. 1 second. 5th chapter beginning itself. He says, which one should I do? He asks, which is the right thing I should do? And I don't know. I'm not able to share, so I'll just tell. So he explains. Both are good. Nishkama Karma Yoga is good. Ashtanga Yoga is also good because both of them come to the final result. But what is better is he says that Ashtanga Yoga is difficult. He doesn't say don't follow. But you tell me, Prabhu, now you tell me, he is now started, right? We'll wait till the end of tomorrow's chapter. But till now, will you be able to comply? Because there are only 2 people who were showing a lot of interest in practicing Ashtanga Yoga, which one was Shyam Prabhu. Sorry, battery is going down, so I'm going to put it in a plug. But you can hear. So what is happening? So both of you were the only people who wanted Ashtanga Yoga. And even before I started the process at the beginning, Mohandas Prabhu, Shyam Prabhu quickly said, no, Mataji, I will not give up the family. So he is not even going to yogarudha stage, right? He in yoga rukshu itself he stopped. And that was his decision. I am not influencing anything. I told him, you can choose, Prabhu. He immediately said, no, Mataji, I'm not going to do. Yes or no? So the point is, what is preferable is not told by Krishna, is already told. He says it's easier. So it's easy for you to follow Arjuna. For you, what is easy or not is a call which you can take. So you think this is easy, you can go to a secluded place, you can sit there and do meditation. You still can go ahead with that, Prabhu. It's not wrong. But can you do it? And in Kali Yuga, first of all, we don't know whether we can find a forest. Second of all, can we live without a mobile? I don't know, because one day in the entire year, I tell everyone, put off the mobile, one day. And it's so difficult. Forget somebody else, forget getting someone else. I can't even get my husband to keep the phone beyond 2 hours before the God or whatever, right? For 1 day or 2 hours. So today's situation, can you give up everything and go to a forest? Are we prepared?
No, Mataji, very difficult. The most difficult thing is getting the deer skin. Nowadays it is
no, it's prohibited, right? And now, Arun, you tell me, is it possible? Because Mohandas Prabhu, the Shyam Prabhu already said it's difficult. Can you do this?
No, Mataji, I felt, when I was doing Ashtanga Yoga, and then I felt that it's tough actually. And then Bhakti Yoga is easy in Kali Yuga to do, to follow that. It's a Maha Mantra Jap, because Yantra, Tantra, Mantra, and then Mantra, because Mantra Siddhi is very popular, and then very not popular, it's very effective. But one doubt I have that, when I read this about Ashtanga Yoga, they call it as, because both Ashtanga Yoga and Hatha Yoga Pradipika as Raj Yoga. So I'm not sure why it is. So Gyan, is it Gyan Yoga or is it?
No, not Gyan, Dhyan. Dhyan. Gyan is different. Gyan will come under Jnana Yoga.
Okay, so it's called Dhyan Yoga. Dhyan Yoga, okay.
Hare Krishna. I think we lost Radhika Mataji. I'll start playing the video now.
Ji Mataji. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam
As all the devotees here are your disciples, your Prabhupada, eternal disciples, eternal servitors. And what if we have to take birth in the material world in the next life? How will we be able to render direct service unto you?
Yes. Even if you remain in the material, if you are not completed your spiritual life, still you will get good birth. Suchinang Simotangihi Yoga Brasta Sanjaya. One who is failure in completing Krishna consciousness, then he is given next chance in a very aristocratic family or very nice, pure Brahmin's family, so that he can again cultivate Krishna consciousness. Next chance.
Will that mean taking initiation from another guru, or remain your eternal service?
His question was, when we take initiation from you, we understand that we become your eternal servitors.
Yeah.
So if we have to come again to another birth,
But if you remain eternally in the instruction, and if you fall from the instruction, how you can remain eternal? You have to stay on the platform, then eternally you are safe. If you fall down from the platform, then it is your fault.
Yes. Continue, Hare Krishna.
Just like we are all in the Vaikuntha planet. Now, we wanted to enjoy this material world, we have fallen down. Just like Joy Vijay. Now we are trying to go back again. Therefore we say, go back to home, back to God. So, everything is there is process. If you follow the process, then you go back. If you fall down, that is our fault. Therefore the life is meant for tapasya. That Rishabde's instruction, that our life should not be wasted like dogs and hogs and pigs. It should be utilized for tapasya, for understanding our position. Tapah putra kajina suddheta satya. This is the aim of life. We have to purify our existence. At the present moment, our existence is impurified. Therefore, we are subjected to birth, death, old age and disease. And as soon as we purify ourselves, then we are not subjected to these four material laws. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, suddenly got logged out. Thank you so much. Did I answer your question or somewhere it is hanging?
Yes, Mataji. So the doubt I had was like you said Dhyana yoga. So I wanted to ask the difference between Raj yoga and Dhyana yoga.
Prabhu, are you talking about Raja Yoga?
Yes, Raja yoga and
You
Dhyana
have to
yoga.
wait till the Raja Yoga means king of yogas, but that we are going to cover in the 9th chapter. So you, if you can just wait for 3 more chapters, you'll have more clarity because we are halfway through 6. So after the, if I explain 9th chapter, you know, you will miss the essence of 7th and 8th.
Okay, no problem.
The continuation of 7th and 8th because Raj Yoga comes under Bhakti Yoga. And Raja Yoga in Bhakti Yoga inbuilt, as I said, like Pranayama, I just gave a teaser as to how that is inbuilt. Likewise, this is also inbuilt in it. So that's the specialty, but just wait till the 9th chapter and it's your question is not answered, then definitely I will readdress that. Is that fine, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Yes, any other questions? Otherwise, yes, there is little time, so I will tell the story. Any other question? Hare Krishna. I'm just looking for our Bilva Mangala Thakur story. Okay, so you all were asking about Bilva Mangala Thakur. No, I'm just taking the presentation, so just give me 1 second. Yes. Okay. Neetu, can you please make me, whoever is the host now, I don't know. Neetu, you're the host. Can you make me the host, co-host? Yes. Right? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna devotees. So we are going to see the part 2 phase of Bilva Mangala Thakur. We saw last week Bilva Mangala Thakur's a quick version where he is mad after a prostitute. He comes towards a prostitute even at the time of the death of his father. And also the worst part of it is when the prostitute on that night, after going through so much trauma, sees him, like he crosses a water body and he also jumps over a mountain or a huge wall. And the prostitute says, if you put the same efforts, it's, you would be in a better position. So immediately marches towards Vrindavan. And on his way back, he sees that the thread which he climbed was a skin of a snake. And the dead body was none but his wife, who could not take it. And he had crossed with that, thinking it was a log. And this shows how mad somebody is in the material desire that they don't even think what's happening. And on his way back, he is taken care by a village head, who again, his wife is very pretty and he gets attracted because he has a natural affinity towards women. And therefore the lady also observes and she complains to her husband, and the husband says, you continue your service, I'll take care. And what happens one day is he calls her and requests her to hand over the pin, and he blinds himself. So this, as I say, is something which you can hear, but please don't follow. So this is what we saw. And after that, Krishna personally, delivered him. Because it's very, very rare to have, it's very difficult for someone to suddenly become blind. So he takes care of the devotee end to end. Now this is the present Janma, and let's go back to the previous Janma. And here Bilva Mangala Thakur was a Brahmin. He was very Krishna conscious and did a lot of yagnas. And in yagnas also, there is a lot of money required, right? That's why even though Yudhishthira is rich, Arjuna is called Dhananjaya because he goes to the various kingdoms to get money for doing the yagnas. After that, what happens is he used to give he used to distribute food and all that. So he was shot. On his way back, he saw a early death of a princess who died at an 18-year, when she was 18 years. And this king, if you can see, this particular king was doing the final rites. And the situation, right? If she's a princess, what will they do, right? They'll leave the princess with the jewelry. They're not going to, like us, right? We remove the last piece of the precious thing before we send. So this is what there, and therefore what is happening is this particular princess jewelry he's trying to take. And there is this voice of the princess which says that, hey, Bilva, please stop. Okay, these are my jewelry. Don't come to this. And he tells, this is the issue. She says, no problem. Go and ask my dad. This is where I kept my jewels and he will be more than happy to help you. And immediately he goes and the king gives the jewelry. Now, tell me what he did. Is it right? Taking the jewelry from the dead body. Is that right or wrong? Chat is open and I request you all to post your answers in the chat. Hare Krishna. Yes, Sunita, you're right. The Bilva Mangalas, okay, it's wrong. Okay, no. Okay, it's not wrong. So we have mixed views. So let's see. So what happens is he, takes the money, as she said, and goes and does the yagna. So after many days, again, his money box gets over and he is shunning short. And when he passes, he realizes that this particular girl was there because that day is when they did the cremation. And he says, come, let me go and take the money. And he comes and tries to take the money again. And he goes, and that time this girl comes there, I mean the voice, and she tells that, hey, I already told you and you're doing it for the second time. I can pardon you for the first time. Second time is definitely not there. So you are because you are coming after my money, your next Janma, you will not remember Krishna and you will be running after women, and that's exactly the curse she gives. So this is one. And can you guess who's this girl in the next birth? You can unmute or you can type in chat.
The prostitute.
Yes, the girl, the princess name is Chintamani. The prostitute is Chintamani. Why? It's because cursing a Brahmin is not good. You should be very careful. And therefore, she is also materialistic. So therefore, for the curse and for being materialistic, she's again born as a person who's materialistic. And she's born as a prostitute, right? Because she cursed him and she becomes a part of the curse. And however, the spiritual, she also tells him, go to Krishna. And therefore, it's two versions of this. One version is they say the spiritual master spoke through her. The second version is they say that he accepted her at that moment as a spiritual master and walks towards the path of liberation to Vrindavan. So the story is like this. So even if you are doing an abominable thing for the sake of Krishna, it's not right. It's not right. Which is why they say you should do your duty as per karma, means doing the duty as per Vedic injunction. Nowhere in the Vedas it is said that you can steal the gold and do, right? So it is very important that you follow the Shastras to do any of the activities, even for Krishna. Otherwise, what will happen is tomorrow a smuggler or a thief will tell that, okay, I have stolen. I am doing this only for building Krishna temple. No, please do it by working hard. Even if you give 1 rupee out of your fruits which you have worked, Krishna will be happy than to steal somebody's money and to give. So the moral of the story is, even for the sake of Krishna conscious, you don't do anything wrong. Second important story is, a Brahmana, if he makes a mistake, Krishna will punish. He will take care. It's not our job. We need not worry about it. Krishna is personally there to deliver, and therefore he is going to take care, and we should leave that to Krishna, just like any situation, right? Whereas here, she personally gives him the sab, and of course he gets hit because a girl's word is very powerful. So he does go through for the mistake he did and for her curse, but also Krishna is there, right? And in 6th chapter, tomorrow we are going to see how Krishna liberates even a little seva. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya. We saw this, right? Even a little bit in the 2nd chapter we saw. Even if you do a little bit of seva, automatically Krishna tries and pulls you back and protects you. So that's how Krishna protected. And the same prostitute spoke, is accepted as a spiritual partner. The same prostitute said, why are you doing this to me? Go to Krishna. So all this came because Krishna is running this show, right? And she also is a part of this curse, which she did. So that is why when we think that, many times we are very proud, we say this person, I cursed. First and foremost, our curse does not have value, but our anger has, right? So the anger, when we give it out, it is not like money or charity. The anger destroys us before it destroys the enemy. So I think this, I will stop the story. Hare Krishna devotees. Vancha kalpada rubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitana pavanebhyo vaishnavobhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Preeti, Mataji, what is it? Actually, I'm not sure, but they have told about Hanuman story. Okay. Okay, Hanuman story I will tell next week. Please remind me. Hare Krishna. Okay, anything else? If there is nothing else, then I can end. I hope all questions are answered and we'll end the session. So one bright Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare,
Hare
Krishna. So let's
Krishna.
connect again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. I'll end the session. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.